Hey, what's up, people? JayDub here to talk about a couple of topics such as WWE ending the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and also, I guess I could waste a little time talking about TNA. You know, they have a pay-per-view coming up tomorrow. They have some big announcement that they're going to be making on Monday, which we all know what the damn announcement is because Spike TV spoiled it a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, nonetheless, Hulk Hogan and Ditsy Carter, they're going to be holding a press conference to tell everybody what we already know, which is TNA Impact will likely be moving to Monday nights to compete with WWE RAW. But I guess I'll talk about that a little bit and let you guys know why not to get excited, because this is not the Monday Night War rebirth that everybody is hoping for. So, yeah, if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and click that yellow button over there. Remember to type down in the comment section below your thoughts, your opinions, your views, and all of the stuff that I discuss in this video. Okay, let's get started talking about Survivor Series. This is the pay-per-view that WWE is going to end this year. I guess the 2009 one was the very last Survivor Series because Vince McMahon came out a couple of days ago and announced that the Survivor Series concept has outlived its usefulness, and also that the name is obsolete. I don't entirely agree with Vince, really, because the Survivor Series pay-per-view, it may not be as important as it used to be in the past, but I still think that name has a lot of usefulness, and I don't think it's obsolete whatsoever. It's a Big Four pay-per-view. Like that pay-per-view alone, just because it's a Big Four pay-per-view, it's going to generate pay-per-view buy rates. But I guess Vince McMahon believes that since the buy rate dropped last year, that it's something wrong with the pay-per-view itself. I don't think it's anything wrong with the name or the concept of Survivor Series. This pay-per-view dropping in buy rates, from 26% drop from 2008 to 2009. I think that a lot of that can be attributed to just bad build-up. Like the build-up to Survivor Series, I think it really sucked, especially for the WWE Championship match, even though I marked out crazy when I heard that this match was announced, because I knew it was going to end up being a good match, and it did end up being a good match. That still doesn't change the fact that the build-up to it sucked, and it seemed like a kind of weird match to put together because you put three faces in a match. I guess they just did that, because they wanted to have, big main event names fighting for the WWE Championship in a main event for, a big, one of the Big Four pay-per-views. But the match just seemed like it was pulled out of nowhere. And even knowing that they had three faces in the match, they didn't, put any effort whatsoever into creating intensity, creating heat behind that match. That's where I think it failed. And, they had Hornswoggle appearing on screen with DX and appearing on screen with the WWE Champion, then John Cena, making jokes. Like, they were more concerned with making the audience laugh than they were making the audience actually care about this match. So I think that was the nail in Survivor Series' coffin. But yeah, I haven't complained about the name changes for the pay-per-views until now, because they're messing with a big pay-per-view, one of the Big Four pay-per-views. Like I said, it generates pay-per-view buy rates simply because of its name alone. Like, what are you going to replace it with? Are you going to replace it with something that you're going to try to promote as a Big Four pay-per-view? But is that going to work? Because it doesn't have the prestige that Survivor Series has. It doesn't have the legacy. It doesn't have that name recognition. It hasn't been around for over 2 decades like Survivor Series, has. And yeah, that's why I want to wait and see what they actually replace it with. Because for them to get rid of a big pay-per-view, knowing that buy rates are, generally declining, they were generally declining already last year, why would they get rid of a pay-per-view that automatically generates buy rates with name alone? So I want to wait and see what they actually replace Survivor Series with, before I give my full judgment on the matter. And speaking of the pay-per-views, hopefully they don't give it some generic ass lack of creativity name like they've been giving their recent pay-per-views, like, oh, we're gonna have a pay-per-view with main event matches that are Elimination Chamber style matches, so we're gonna name the pay-per-view Elimination Chamber. We're gonna have a pay-per-view with tables matches, ladder matches, chairs matches, so we're gonna name it TLC. That's so generic. It lacks creativity. Hopefully they don't do this with whatever they replace Survivor Series with. So like I said, I'm gonna wait and see. I guess this will be a pretty long wait. So yeah, I guess that's all to say on that matter. Let's move on to TNA. From the TNA fans, I really want to know from you guys, what do you think about TNA? Now that Hulk Hogan has come into the company, he's changing a lot of things up. And I said on Twitter, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/JayDub show, shameless plug, whatever, it's my damn video, my channel, so what? Yeah, I really want to know what you guys think about what Hulk Hogan has been doing with TNA, because I said a couple of weeks ago, the TNA that you guys used to know, it seems like that one is on its way out of the door, because every single week as I watch TNA, it seems like they're stripping away what made TNA original week after week. You strip away the six-sided ring, the X Division, it isn't heavily featured as it used to be, but that was a problem before Hulk Hogan came into the promotion, so I'm not going to fully blame that on him, but it still aids in the, evolution of, TNA from what it traditionally was. They go out there and Hulk Hogan had the audacity to tell the fans, you know what, you want a six-sided ring? I really don't care what you want. Look where a six-sided ring has gotten you so far. It's gotten you nowhere. So you're going to tell them a six-sided ring, it got them nowhere. So what the hell are you saying about the history of TNA as long as it's had the six-sided ring? Are you saying that was nothing? Are you saying it didn't matter? And you're like inflating Hulk Hogan. He has the fucking biggest ego I've ever seen, because he gets into the company and I guess he thinks that's all that's needed to take TNA to the next level. Well, look at TNA before Hulk Hogan came to the company. They were pulling 1.2s almost every fucking week. And look at TNA after Hulk Hogan comes to the company. Okay, you get a high rating on January 4th, the highest rating in TNA's history. Then a couple of weeks later, you get a 1.4, the highest rating for TNA on Thursday. But guess what? You're back down to a fucking 1.2. If Hulk Hogan, if Eric Bischoff, if Ric Flair can't get you over a 1.2 on a regular basis, what can you do? What other ace in the hole does TNA have to propel them to the next level? Because Hulk Hogan isn't doing it. Hulk Hogan, looking at what he's doing with the show, he's bringing in the Nasty Boys, he's bringing in X-Pac and Scott Hall. And by the way, for all of the people that were, saying, oh, I'd rather see, this an NWO reunion over DX and their mascot, I'd rather see the NWO over DX any day. Do you still hold that same sentiment after you see X-Pac and Scott Hall getting on their got the shakes and shit because they're fiending for their next fix? Basically, you got two crack addicts on screen, two pill poppers, old as hell, out of shape. Guess what? I'll take DX and their midget leprechaun mascot any day over a bunch of crack addicts. And I don't care what you all have to say about that. I'll take the neutered DX over a bunch of crack addicts any day. Don't have any problem whatsoever with admitting that. And I've lost my whole. I was bashing, Hulk Hogan. That's what I was doing. Hulk Hogan has a super huge fucking ego. I think Ditsy Carter, she's naive. I've always thought that about Ditsy Carter. She's basically handed over all control to Hulk Hogan. It's basically letting him run rampant in the promotion just because he ran Celebrity Championship Wrestling. He thinks he's the shit now. He thinks this is the opportunity for him to get out there and bash Vince, talking about, John Cena, he said, I'm wasting my time. Well, guess what? Brother, I'm not wasting my time, brother. You could be working for me one day. I could have Vince McMahon working for me one day. Really? Are you fucking serious? Vince McMahon is where he is for a reason. He outlasted a lot of people for a reason. You may call him a ruthless SOB, but guess what? That ruthless SOB is at the #1 spot because he earned it. Okay? TNA, it seems like they're trying to take, shortcuts to that #1 position. Like they're bringing in Hulk Hogan and they're bringing in all of these, old names, and it doesn't seem like anything is working. Yet you want to move to Monday nights and compete with WWE when last year you can hardly fucking beat ECW, WWE's third-rate show. TNA could hardly beat them in the ratings, but you want to compete with the biggest show that's going on in professional wrestling as of right now. And you can talk about how much Raw fucking sucks. You can talk about this. You can talk about that. Point blank, Raw is the biggest show. No matter how much it sucks, it still commands the biggest audience. And you really think TNA is going to pose a threat to WWE each and every week by moving to Monday nights when TNA pulls a 1.2, Raw pulls 3.6, and so WWE's viewership is 3 times that of TNA. They can't get over a fucking 1.2 unopposed on a Thursday night. What makes you think that they're going to pull better ratings than WWE? And you know, going back to the January 4th, people would talk about, oh, TNA kicked WWE's ass on January 4th. Oh, they did this, they did that. WWE should be embarrassed. Why should they be embarrassed? TNA put on a good show, no doubt. But guess what? WWE put on a fucking good show too. And I honestly think Raw was better than Impact on January 4th. And I have no problem saying that whatsoever, because I think a lot of people were blinded by the bright lights in TNA, the big names in TNA. Because if you had asked people before January 4th which show they were going to watch, if they said Impact, if you asked them why they were going to watch that over Raw, 9 times out of 10 you would have got, oh, you know, Impact is going to have all of these surprises. You know, Hulk Hogan is coming to the company. Oh, the band is going to be reunited. Oh, this person might show up. That person might show up. This person might show up. That name might come to the company. RVD or Mr. Kennedy or this person or that person. Basically, they were blinded by the bright lights and the big names. That's what you call shock value. It was all shock value and hardly any substance whatsoever. I do think that Raw, while it wasn't a great show on January 4th, you can call me a fucking WWE mark. I really don't give a fuck, because I'm not one of the ones jumping on here saying, oh, Raw kicked TNA's ass. Oh, Raw was excellent. TNA sucked. Both of them were good shows. Raw wasn't excellent, but I do think it had a lot more substance than TNA had. Point blank. Like I said, TNA, all shock value, hardly any substance whatsoever. So you want to move to Monday nights based off of the ratings you get for what was supposedly a one-time thing. You're not going to have Hulk Hogan debuting in the company every single week to command the audience like you got on January 4th. You're not going to have a new name debuting in the company. You can't keep continuing on with this shock value. And speaking of them making dumbass decisions like moving to January 4th, why would you move? And it's reported that they're going to move to January 4th on March the 8th. So a week before Stone Cold Steve Austin goes back to WWE, a couple of weeks before WrestleMania, in WrestleMania season, you're going to move TNA Impact to compete with WWE's #1 show. It makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. This is not the rebirth of the Monday Night Wars, because TNA fans would say TNA took the first shot at WWE in the rebirth of the Monday Night Wars, but then they would turn around if you would say to them, oh, you say TNA kicked WWE's ass? What about the ratings? TNA got a 1.5 that night, Raw got a 3.6. Oh, it was never about the ratings. It's not about the ratings. How is it not about the fucking ratings if you're calling it the Monday Night Wars 2.0? If you look back at the Monday Night Wars in the 90s, it was all about the ratings. It was all about the ratings. Each show tried to do the best they could to steal viewers away from the other show. That's what TNA attempted to do on January 4th, and the best they got was a 1.5. WWE didn't have to put on the best show possible on January 4th because they're not at war with TNA. TNA is trying to declare war on WWE because it's in TNA's court to steal viewers away from WWE. All WWE has to do is maintain viewers. They don't give a fuck about TNA. They don't give a fuck about, you know, the ratings that TNA is getting, as long as they're on the level of 1.2 to 1.5. Why does WWE have to be threatened by somebody who's getting a third of the ratings they are? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. So WWE didn't have to put on the best show possible. They didn't have to add the shock value and have this person debuting in the company. Oh, and you know, all of these people showing up trying to shock the fans, trying to, you know, steal viewers away from TNA. Like I said, it doesn't make sense. And speaking of doesn't make sense, for the people who would say, oh, you shouldn't be hating on TNA, you should be glad that they're moving to Monday nights because they're going to provide competition to WWE. Even if you don't like TNA, you should watch TNA just to get Vince McMahon up off of his ass. So you're telling me somebody should watch TNA to support WWE? That sounds like a desperate ploy for viewers. It sounds like a pathetic ploy for viewers. You know what? It really sounds like a bunch of bullshit. That's exactly what it is. It's bullshit. So you're telling me somebody doesn't have to find anything appealing about TNA whatsoever. They don't have to like anything about TNA. Hell, they could hate TNA and what they're doing creatively, but they're supposed to watch TNA to help WWE. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, and why would you even be that desperate just to get a couple of ratings points when, like I said, these people are not finding anything appealing about TNA whatsoever? That's where they're not watching. Like, how long is that excuse? Oh, a lot of people don't know about TNA. In the wrestling world, everyone probably knows about TNA. They're not watching because of a reason. They're not watching for a reason. No matter how many names you bring to the company, if they keep putting on the same show that they're putting on, it's not going to happen for them. It's not going to happen at all. I mean, hey, and that's just something you have to come to grips with. And, yeah, this is not the rebirth of the Monday Night Wars. Let TNA get over a 1.2 on the fucking regular before we start declaring this the Monday Night Wars 2.0. As of right now, WWE does not have to worry about TNA. They don't have to worry about them at all. Of course, they're going to be doing things to maintain their viewership, but like I said, the ball is in TNA's court to steal viewers away from WWE. That's their goal. WWE doesn't have to steal viewers away from TNA. And that's why it's not the Monday Night Wars. And that's why, you know, TNA, they're in the minor leagues. WWE is the MLB, TNA is AAA. Let's see where this whole thing goes. But like I said, as of right now, WWE has nothing to worry about. I am JayDub. Peace out. And I know y'all are wishing I'm going to be wrong, but even if I am wrong, you know, even if I end up being wrong, because I know I'm right as of right now. So if a couple of months down the fucking road, or a couple of years down the road, if TNA starts increasing in their numbers and everything, don't jump on this video like, oh, I fucking told you, JayDub, you were wrong, you were wrong. We'll see. We shall see. Let's look at the ratings. Let's look at, you know, what happens over these next few weeks if it is the case that TNA is moving to Monday nights.